Hi, Shelley here. I thought of a project I'd like to do with some washi tape and got out my old stash of washi tape, and it's very sad. So I decided today I'm going to start out by making some washi style tapes, some things that I will use in the future. And I want to try some different tapes to see kind of what I get. So I've got about a 19-inch sheet of parchment paper here. The first one I'm going to use is this medical tape that is like a fabric tape. I think it's called micropore or something. And it's just at Walmart. It's super inexpensive. And I'm going to put sticky side down. I don't have to have sticky on the back of my strips all the time. Sometimes I make the strips and I just store them as strips and then apply them with my glue. When I'm ready to make my project, it works just fine. But it is fun to have some actual tapes with adhesive on as well. So that's why I'm going to do a mix of both today. Okay, I've got a bunch of stencils out that I don't know if I'm going to use all of them or not, but I wanted to have some options at the ready. And I've got a little bit of my dark gray paint, my dauber, which is a makeup sponge inside of a clothespin, and then I'm just going to, I think I'm going to use my big Chair Pets sponge. So much easier when you've got a big area to cover. Now, I don't know how this tape is going to react to acrylic paint, but we shall see. I think it should be fine. I don't want a perfect transfer. I just want to put some different things on there to add some interest. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Oh, and stick around to the end if you want to see how I store my strips and tapes, because it's a little different than anybody I've ever seen before, and I think it's pretty cool. Not good. Well, that didn't turn out at all very good. All right, let's All right, next I want to try some drywall tape that I've had for a long time. Maybe we'll try this. I've never done this on drywall tape before, but it's just paper on top, so I think I'm going to be okay. I've got these two prints that I did on the gel plate with tissue paper. And I think I want to use half of each on this. So I think what I'm going to do, maybe we'll just do that. Now I'm going to put a quick coat of Mod Podge down. Tissue paper can be difficult to work with, but when it's got paint on it, it's a little bit more sturdy. Got a few wrinkles in it, but I'm okay with that. I don't like that. I don't want a gap. Ooh. Would have been a lot better if I would have got it right the first time. Oh my, that was painful. Now another quick coat of Mod Podge to seal it. And then to finish it off, I will grab a couple of baby wipes and gently tap all over to make my texture the same and no brush strokes. All right, now I'll set this side to dry. All right, my next two, I've got a couple of my deli papers. And on these two, I'm going to put my tape on the back, sticky side, onto the deli paper. And these I will have to adhere another way onto whatever project I choose to use it on. Okay, for this one, I'm going to put out a little orange, my dark orange. And put a little red into that, because that's what color my flowers are here already. And let's darken it up with just a spot of navy. Whoop. Uh-oh, did she go too far? And why don't I have my apron on? All right, I think that is just nice. Just nice. I think that is good. And now I've got an old Velcro curler. My tape is making it curl. It is definitely more orange than red, but that's okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dark orange here. I'm not going to mix anything with it, I don't think. I think I'm going to leave it just like it is. And I'm going to take my shuttlecock and get it in the paint. So I'm going to take my trusty alligator clip and a pom-pom. There, that's better. This is so fun because you don't know where your tape is. You know, you guess, you know it's in some areas, but you have no idea exactly where it is. So it's so fun to see what you get in the end. Just like gel printing for me, this is one of those things where I can just kind of get lost in what I'm doing, and just the possibilities are just so vast. But I am going to do one more set and then I'm going to stop because I do want to do a project with some, my whole purpose of doing these was to do this project I've got in my head. So I'm going to use half of the kind of cloth tape, the micro pour, and then half with the clear tape. Okay, for this one I'm going to collage, and I've got some deli papers out here kind of with the same that I think go together, and I'm going to take off my edges and tear some pieces. This particular gel print I have had for years, did it years ago. Liked the colors, but never was in love with it to do anything with it. But I keep those because you never know when you're going to have the right application for it. Now I'm just going to get started here and start putting out my papers onto my cloth tape. I put my tape too close together. I should have spaced them. I should have done too close together and then spaced them. But hindsight's 20/20, right? Maybe I'll just skip one. I think that's what I should do. As usual, I had plenty, but I panic and think, oh, what if I get into what I'm doing and I don't have enough? So I'm glad I had plenty. I think what I'm going to do is do another one with these papers down here at the bottom. I think I stretched my tape. That's something I need to be more careful of. And let's start in with this one this time. I had one more idea I want to try because it's easy, it's fast and easy, and what the hey, I'm already doing it. I've got a mix of tapes out here again. I want to see how this does. I've done this before, but I can't remember what tape I used. So, but I want to try it with all the different tapes. Okay, now I'm going to take a piece of tissue paper that I did with one of my stencils a while back. Not a long time ago, but a while back. I found these clocks in my stash. I don't know, I'm just gonna try it. I'm gonna just try this. See what I get. All right, I'm going to stop there before I start tearing my tissue paper and get into trouble. Okay, now we dry. Okay, I've got all my tapes here, my tapes and strips, and so I want to start off by cutting them down to the proper size. All right, it took me quite a while, but I finally got everything cut. I also had trouble seeing where my tape was on some of these. I can see this one I need to trim off a little bit more. If they were a little bit shorter, you could probably put it on your cutter and, you know, line it up on the back side and cut them really quick. Would have worked great too, but these are too long for that. I don't mind the cutting. Actually, it's very therapeutic for me, and I keep seeing more that I didn't do a very good job cutting on, but you can always straighten those out later. And I said I was going to do it at the end, but I think I'm going to go now and show you what I do, how I store mine. What I like to do is I have these old plastic file folders. And what I like to do with them is I have a binder, and I put my tapes in here. And I open up the bottoms, and then I can put my tapes, if they're sticky on the back, I can put them right in here, and then when I'm ready, I can peel them off and use them. For me, I like this system the best because I can see what I've got really quickly. I don't like to have rolls all over the place in all different sizes in a drawer or on a shelf. I hate getting them started. These are a lot easier for me to get going. It's also easier for me to eye how much I have of something than it was for me on the roll. Sometimes I think I had more than I did or less than I did, so this for me is easier for me to see. So on the papers where I put the deli paper down, then put the tape, the sticky side onto the back of the deli paper, so I don't have any adhesive on the back, I could just put those in one of these that I have not opened at the bottom. I like that I have, some of these are really old ones. The adhesive is not great. That are, I mean, you know, 20, 30 years old maybe. Some of them I've got fabric ones here. Oh, like this one here. So it had a pocket on the front and the back. And so I used every part of it, but left it hooked together so I could put it in my book. And so that's what I do. In case you're looking for a different way to store your washies. This one here, I'm going to cut off this guy. And this has got two, front and the back. I'm just going to cut the end and then open it up on the bottom. And now I have a front flap, a back flap, and a middle. Let's do these first. So now I can just peel off. This is the clear tape, the clear medical tape. And I can just put it, I like to start it on the, oh wait, did it wrong. Whenever you have starting it on the pocket, I want to go start at the top of the angle. Put it down here, then flip it over. Then come back the other side. And now this will give me one complete sheet. And then if it's on a middle sheet here, I start at the bottom and go flip over the top. This one, obviously, because it's at an angle, it's better if that's what I've learned, okay? On the ones that don't have adhesive, I can either use my matte medium or Mod Podge to put down, or regular glue, a glue stick. There's several different ways you could adhere it to something however you want. But you could also use double-sided tape, or you could use, if you have one of these old or new, maybe, I don't know if they still sell them, but these Iron Create a Sticker. Sometimes it's fun to tear these into pieces and put them through here. Then you pull it, makes anything into a sticker. So I've torn these before, put them through here to collage with. Xyron also that does a larger piece. So you could put, you could make them as long as you want, but you're only limited to how wide. So that works too. But these sheets are super expensive, so I like to save them for really big projects that, if it's going to be a big time saver or very specific to things I'm doing, like with maybe a card or something, a bunch of cards. To me, using matte medium is way more economical. I'm going to get these put away, and then we'll start in with our project. Okay, I've got all my washi tapes in my binder, and I'm ready to pick out what I want to use in today's project. And I definitely know I want this one right on top. I think I want this. I like this orangey one. These were the ones that we did with the clear tape, and then the 3 sheets of tissue paper, and it is too thick. So I like the effect of the tissue paper, but I've noticed in all of I like the drywall tape. I think that's cool. Very pleased with how the drywall tape came out, but I do not like the clear tape. I much prefer this is the one that had the tissue paper over the drywall tape. I thought that turned out great. But I do not like these decoupaged onto the clear tape. Much better with the cloth tape, the micropore tape. So I will not use the clear tape in the future. This is one I did the other day. Is this the... Yes, this is enough along the same lines. See how it's coming up here on the edge? That's how I know that's clear. The ones that are laying flat, those are the micropore tape. That's the ones I really like. I think those are close enough. I might use each of those. I definitely want to use these numbers. These are so old, probably 30 years old, and they are sticky. Okay. Oh, like these two. All right, and I think what I'm going to do to start is I got a piece of parchment paper out. I learned the hard way that micropore tape, putting it onto wax paper, is not the best. It didn't want to peel off of it very easily, so the parchment paper works much better. And I'm just going to put out a little bit of these 4 blues, and I've got a little bit of navy, cobalt, bright blue, and my Caribbean. And I'm just going to start by going in with getting a little bit of my cobalt and just not thinking about it too much, just putting a few little bits here and there. And then I'm going to go get my bright blue and do the same thing. And then a little bit of the navy. And then I'm going to go in with my Caribbean to kind of bring it all together. I can still see my dark gray design through there, giving a little interest. Dab any spots away that maybe I got a little bit too much paint so that it will dry quickly. Well, you know what, I need to do 2 of these too because I'm doing 3 rounds. All right, now I'm going to hit it with my heat tool so we can get it to dry quickly. I don't have any experience with this micropore tape, so I don't know how long it's going to take to dry, but it does seem to be drying fairly quickly. So I think if I set it aside and work on something else for a few minutes, it should be ready to go, I hope. All right, now I want to start working on my background on my journal page, and I'm just going to go ahead and my dark gray paint and put a couple of these out. I've got tape everywhere today. I'm not going to get this perfect, and I'm okay with that. I just want it to be pretty good. Again, using my dark gray here, not black. Did my stencil on my computer. I just ungrouped everything and then took the head off and the tail off so I could just cut the detail, so I could do that. And then I'm going to take one of the curls and put it kind of right there. Put that on his head. Smushed it down around a little bit, but that's all right. And down the tail to get a little bit of something on there. I wish that spot would have been. Can't get all those little pieces. That's the problem sometimes with cutting detailed stencils out. When you get the little tiny pieces, just aren't gonna, when you make things smaller, you're only gonna get so much on there, and that's all right, I think anyway. Okay, I think I'm going to edge it with my dark gray. I want just a little something around it to finish it off. I try to smush away from, to soften it a bit, but I don't always, I'm not always successful. I want to mess with some gouache, I think. I've got some little gouaches here from Hobby Lobby, the Master's Touch brand. And I'm going to put out some of my orange yellow, orange red, and vermilion. And I'm gonna try this with some pom-poms. A little bit of water. Not too much water, and just to add a little something so it's not just that plain old background yellow. I'm going to go back to my little darker yellow, has some regular yellow with some, just a couple of drops of red in it, and let's see if I can tone down that dark gray. Get them back to a little bit more yellow. My idea is to collage on 3 circles, so I cut these out with my Scan and Cut. And I got some old cardstock that I had laying around that kind of goes with my colors that I've got here in my tapes. And I think what I want to do is just cut some triangle-y shapes out of each color to collage with. I'm not worried about the pointy edges because I probably will not use those. Okay, so I have all my triangles laid out here, and what I'm thinking about doing is giving them a little bit of interest. Oh, it's a gripper mat. I hope it doesn't, I don't want it to take my papers away from me. What if I took this old date stamp? What does it say? May 30th, 2010. All right, then we've got these guys. I think what we're gonna do is, I don't think triangles are gonna be too hard for me to do, but I think I could, oh yeah. The micropore tape cuts beautifully on my cutter here. And I think if I separate these, I'll be able to cut them on the parchment paper. And whatever I don't use, I can also always put back on in the binder. I'm just eyeing these now. I'm probably not going to be right, but I don't think it's going to matter. Got my wax paper out. I think I'll start with my largest one. Might have been better if I'd used regular paper instead of cardstock, but it wouldn't have been as thick. But cardstock is what I had on hand, so I'm going to make it work. It's just an art journal page, so if it's thick, it's thick. Now the next thing I want to do is give my dragonflies a nice coat of Mod Podge. And this will help seal them and harden them, and they will last for many, many years to come. I've done this for many years and it works great. It's got to be cardstock though. Regular paper, it'll still work on regular paper, but when you're putting it on a canvas or something, you want it to last, and a thinner paper just doesn't seem to do as well. I don't want brush strokes, that's why I'm tapping. Now when this is completely dry, it'll come right off of this wax paper very easily. I may have some edges to clean up whenever I use a lot of Mod Podge. Sometimes there'll be a little bit of overlapping film, but that's okay. I can cut that right off. We'll see. I kind of want to try gouache on my background here, and I've got a little bit of alcohol spray. Not really sure if it's going to work or not, but I want to try it. So I'm going to put out a little bit of a few of my blues here. All right, now let's try our alcohol. Ooh. Wow, interesting. I like it, but I think it's going to be a little bit competing with our other elements, so I think I'm going to scrape on a little bit of off-white acrylic just to make it a little bit more grungy. Well, that was fun, and I love it. So that's how we're going to leave it right there. And let it dry. Okay, I've got all my elements ready. My dragonflies peel right off. They do have just a little bit of overhang, residue, I don't know what you want to call it, from the Mod Podge on the wax paper. Now, if I was going to put this on a canvas, I would probably give it another coat or two to make it super tough, but for an art journal page, I think this is just plenty. Here's my background, which I love how it turned out. I did hit this with a little bit of varnish spray to make sure that it was sealed, because I just want to make sure that gouache doesn't get to moving around on me. And these are, again, I should have done this probably on mixed media paper instead of regular old cardstock. It is a little bit textured and wavy, but I'm okay with that. It just gives a little more texture to my page, so I'm okay with that. To finish these off, I think what I want to do this is just a Bic Intensity Permanent Fine Liner. The last one with this was my Stabilo All. I'm still not feeling, so I think I'm going to get a little bit of my dark gray. I think what I'm going to do, I kind of like the raised off the page look. So I think I'm going to take my little Dollar Tree raised paper tape thingies and put a few of these on. My plate on there for just a minute. This beacon glue is a fast grab glue, so you don't have to wait long for your project to stay in place. Plus it's got the squares on there, so I think we're going to be all right. I think what I want to do is bend my wings up a little bit. They'll be pushed down by the closing of my book, but I think I'm only going to put glue maybe what we'll do is put a square and some glue. Well, that's my art journal page. I'm very pleased at the way it turned out. Love making the washi tapes and using them. I hope you'll try something like this. It was a lot of fun. Hey, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you'll join me in my next video. Bye for now.